Welcome back to BROJO Online, and I've had a few requests now to do one of my kind of deconstructive reactive videos to somebody else who is trying at least to appear to be honest, and I will analyze how honest they're really being and give my opinion on that. I did one with Sam Harris and Ben Affleck, and that went down pretty well. So this time I'm going to do one on a guy called the Liver King. Now, the Liver King, I don't know that much about him. I'm coming into this very fresh and very kind of open-minded. But I know a little bit about him. And so I'll disclose what I know so far. One is that he's in the fitness industry and he's a big ripped-as bear-like dude. Two is I believe he's the guy who's kind of infamous for eating raw meat. And I think he might actually promote eating nothing but raw meat as a diet. He's sort of infamous for eating like raw testicles and, well, livers, I'm guessing, as well. So I think he's known for that in the fitness industry, this kind of alternative diet. And mostly what I know about him is very recently an email was leaked, and I have seen that email, but I didn't understand all the chemical compounds I was looking at and so on. But the email basically revealed that he has not just been eating raw meat, he's in fact been using all kinds of chemicals, including anabolic steroids, I believe. So that's what I know or think I know about him. And so he's put up a video simply titled "I Lied." And so I'm guessing this is some sort of mea culpa confession. And so I'm going to see how legit this is. Is this just more manipulation from a liar? Or is this a guy coming clean and being radically honest or vulnerably honest or even powerfully honest? Before I even look at the video, I've really literally not seen this at all. I noted that there were ads on the video, as there is mostly with YouTube, not my channel, of course, because I care about the fans. So the fact that this guy's monetized his apology or his whatever this is, this confession, speaks volumes. So before I even go into this, whenever you're trying to figure out is someone lying or whatever, it's actually really difficult to do without knowing context, without knowing like what's the big picture that this person is acting within. This guy has a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. The video that I'm about to watch has had millions of views, and it's monetized. So if nothing else, right out of the gate, I'm suspicious, because this guy is making money from his confession, which undermines the confession. Now, it could be just a coincidence, he didn't think about it like that or whatever. I'll keep my mind open, but that's a red flag for me. So let's have a look at this video together, and I'll jump in and key points and give my piece and try not to say too much and just let you watch it and judge for yourselves as well.
Primals, I'm making this video to apologize. Because I fucked up. Because I'm embarrassed and ashamed. Because I lied and I misled a lot of people. I've stated that this is a complicated as fuck topic, at least to me it is, because before social media, I was rich and anonymous, and after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous, and I never expected this kind of exposure in the public eye. It's been tricky as fuck to navigate.
Okay, right out of the gate, I haven't seen this guy talk before and don't know his speaking style, but this is definitely scripted. You can actually literally see his eyes moving and reading notes of some kind. And just the pauses and the meaningful downward looks and everything, his body language is... This isn't to say this isn't real. This isn't to say that he doesn't mean it. It could be that he doesn't trust himself to just speak from the top of his mind and has written down what he really feels and is now repeating that. That's possible. But my instinct says this is carefully crafted. And that's always a warning sign. When someone's being honest and it's carefully crafted, it's more likely to be manipulation than not. I'm not saying that that's definitely happening, but so far, a lot of red flags. I'm not being like moved into thinking I might be wrong about this guy so far.
Well, clearly I did it wrong, and I'm here now to set the record straight. Yes, I've done steroids, and yes, I am on steroids, monitored and managed by a trained hormone clinician. Liver King, the public figure, was an experiment to spread the message, to bring awareness to the 4,000 people a day who kill themselves, the 80,000 people a day that try.
Can't believe he's going straight into poor me. I would have left it a bit longer, you know? I would have put a bit more of the I fucked up and I'm wrong before I started going, and it's not my fault and I'm really the victim here. I mean, this guy's saying, he's trying to give you the impression he didn't want to be famous. Didn't stop him doing a video with his shirt off though, did it? And it's not like he's being forced to use social media. And if he was rich before social media, and being rich is all he cares about, he doesn't care about being famous and accepting all that comes with that, then why is he doing this? Why does he have a YouTube channel at all? So on and so forth. What you got to ask yourself is, what does it look like when someone really apologizes from the heart and they're just devastated with what they've done and so on? There's another key point to keep in mind. This apology, this admission, this confession is coming after he got caught against his will. He is not coming forward and saying, by the way, I have to reveal something and disclose something that you don't know about. He's reacting to being caught. So straight away, it's like somebody weeping in the courtroom after they've been found guilty, as opposed to confessing to the police before the trial even starts. So I don't know if I'm saying anything that isn't that obvious here, but so far, nothing but red flags, no green lights, in my opinion.
To kill themselves. Our people are hurting at record rates with depression, autoimmune, anxiety, infertility, low ambition in life. Our young men are hurting the most, feeling lost, weak, and submissive. So I made it my job to model, teach, and preach a simple, elegant solution called ancestral living, the 9 ancestral tenets, so our people no longer have to suffer, so we can collectively express our highest and most dominant form. This is my fight. This is why I exist.
What a crock of shit. What a load of bullshit. Now he's trying to make you feel bad for doubting him. Now he's trying to point out that, oh God. So first off, he makes it out like the anabolic steroids monitored by professionals, like he has some health need that's being met here. And he's giving this subliminal, like, I couldn't tell you about it because you wouldn't understand, but it's actually totally legit and doesn't undermine my messaging at all. So he's doing that, and then he pulls out the violin and saying, hey, if I don't do what I do, all these men kill themselves. Like that's his real motive. I'm now firmly in the category of assuming that this guy has a narcissistic personality. All right, what you're seeing here is clinical manipulation at this point. He has spent about 16 nanoseconds apologizing for what he did, which is only because he got caught, and now he's spending the rest of the time not only justifying his actions, but trying to make anyone who doubts him and anyone who's upset with his betrayal feel bad about themselves for doubting him. Like he's the victim and he's being kicked and he's being forced into this situation just because he had this higher desire to help the world and make it a better place, not just fill his bank account with easy money from people who are very vulnerable. No, that's not what he's doing, right? Notice his target market, by his own admission, is very vulnerable, psychologically sensitive people that are easy to manipulate. What a coincidence that he's also a liar. So at this point, I'm not sure how much more I really need to watch to be absolutely convinced that this reminds me of working in the Department of Corrections and sitting across the table from the leader of a vicious motorcycle gang and having him try to convince me that he's the good guy in the story and that everybody else has pegged him wrong and he's not really a mob boss who wears a leather jacket. Like that's what I feel like I'm watching right now, and I've been in this situation so many times that I trust my instincts here. But let's give him a chance. What else has he got to say?
While spreading the message, I've been on several podcasts, and when asked if I've ever taken steroids, I've always said no. I don't touch the stuff, not gonna touch the stuff, never touch the stuff. That was a lie. I've convinced myself that this had nothing to do with the ancestral message. I convinced myself that I'm not a competitive athlete of any kind, so who the fuck am I cheating? I convinced myself that this topic was a placeholder for a far more important conversation. I convinced myself that this would overshadow the 36 years of working out, usually twice a day, without...
The only reason I'm stopping here, I'm not going to keep rabbiting on, is if you rewatch that little clip we just saw, watch his eyes and watch him read what he's saying. Okay? So if there's any doubt that this is scripted, you can see it in the eyes. And so I think that's a valid point. If this really is, because he does these big like he's just genuinely in the moment speaking from the heart, and then you see his eyes like reading the fucking script, right? So this is absolutely a performance you're watching. Not a great one. But now he's trying to do this thing where he's like, I'm going to try and cover all the lies I've told. And again, the victim story. I convinced myself I'm as much a victim to this lie as you are because I just wanted to help people. Poor me. Poor rich as fuck me. Right? Yeah, I'm not buying it. I am watching psychopathy in action right now.
PEDs. I've convinced myself that this was the vocal minority, usually in the fitness category, driving to an unproductive conversation. And I had convinced myself that this would be the wrong message to send to the 15-year-old boys. So I continually dismissed it, and I dug myself into a bigger and deeper hole. I have only myself to blame. I did that, and it was all wrong. I will be better. I will talk about it openly, because I believe that there's a time and a place for pharmacological intervention monitored and managed by a trained hormone physician.
When he's saying, I convinced myself, what he's really saying, I want to convince you of all those points he's making. What he's trying to say is like, look how convincing my narrative for this lie is. Right? He's trying to get you to believe the lie that he supposedly told himself, which he actually knew was a lie all along. There's no doubt about it. He's just justifying, minimizing, avoiding blame. These are all classic tactics to remove yourself from real guilt. This man is doing everything he can to justify the fact that he feels absolutely no fucking guilt whatsoever about betraying a massive, vulnerable audience to take their money with an unsubstantiated, as far as I can tell, dietary lifestyle recommendation. This whatever's 9 tenets of ancestral bullshit that he's made up. Yeah, if it really works, then why you gotta take steroids, bro? Okay? Is this really the best thing for 15-year-old suicidal boys? Because the science doesn't say that at all. Actually encompassing them with a supportive community of peers is the best thing for them. Not eating testicles and secretly doing fucking steroids.
In 2021, when I was 43 years old, I didn't feel 100% physically or cognitively. So I went to get monitored and managed by a trained hormone clinician to see what the fuck was going on with my life. And so yes, it's true. I have tried several peptide combinations in an effort to increase my growth hormone, and it didn't work, meaning that my levels still remained below the normal level. So yes, it's also true that I've tried pharmaceutical grade growth hormone, and I finally found success in managing therapeutic levels in the normal range. Yes, this is true. I've continued on with 0.6 cc's of testosterone per week, roughly 120 milligrams of testosterone a week. And no, I don't take any other steroids like nandrolone or winstrol, but I have tried them in the past without success. Yes, it's also true that my blood chemistry got all fucked up while taking nandrolone and winstrol. My lipids got all deranged. My liver enzymes went sky high, which is why clinical oversight is an absolute must.
Okay, I'm gonna stopping the video because I know how annoying it is to watch a reaction when the dude's just in and out the whole fucking time. But this guy's really he's too much to fucking swallow. So now he's coming around to justifying the use of steroids to really kind of do a kind of future trip where he was never in the wrong and that the betrayal was necessary because you're too stupid to understand and you're too unevolved to understand that you need to use steroids, and that he's actually now going to try and dovetail the use of anabolic steroids into his ancestral bullshit living plan so that he was always right. You know, if this was a true confession apology type thing, he'd be like, you know, I couldn't make this lifestyle work without steroids, which means the lifestyle thing's bullshit. That's what he should be saying if he's genuine. But what he's saying is, actually, I was right all along, but you're too thick to understand, and now I'm going to make you feel guilty for doubting me when I had this all sorted all along. I'm future, baby. I fucking know what's supposed to be happening next. But you're too unevolved to understand. I couldn't bring it to you earlier. You know, poor me again. It's fucking bullshit.
Nope. The Liver King brand has had nothing, or at least very little, to do with my business success. My companies were already kicking ass, already successful before the Liver King public figure, growing at 50% year over year, and still growing at the same pace after the Liver King public figure.
Just I'll point out here, this isn't so much evidence of dishonesty, but what you're seeing here is bragging. And that is a classic warning sign of narcissism. So what he's also doing, I mean, part of the manipulation is like, you should trust me because I'm so successful and awesome all the time. But he just can't help it. Once he starts talking about his success, he's a runaway train, isn't he? In a video where he's supposed to be apologizing and confessing to a lie, he can't help but go on and on about how fucking awesome he is. All right, and this is a kind of a blind spot that narcissistic and psychopathic personalities have, in my experience working with them. They don't really realize how obvious this is, and they just can't help themselves. Like, even the best manipulators, they just can't help but brag. This is often how they get caught as criminals, is they'll confess by telling people because they're so proud of how they duped everybody. You know, most criminals get caught because they brag at the pub about the big score and somebody narcs on them, you know. So we're just seeing, like I said, there's so many red flags in this video and zero green lights. He's trying to get you to feel sorry for him because his experiments with steroids fucked him up. I'm assuming actually all that stuff is true because that lines up actually with the email, and I suspect the email is accurate because I think he would be truthful with whoever he's doing the medical stuff with because he wants it to work. So generally psychopathic personalities will be honest if it's in their best interest. So I think when he talks about all the medical stuff that's happening, he might be exaggerating how much damage it did to him and how poorly he's doing because of it, and maybe why he got into it. Like, oh, I was feeling badly. It's like, nah, you probably just wanted to be even more of a beast. But let's put that aside. It's probably telling the truth about the factual nature of the steroid use and everything like that. But it's because he's proud of it. He's proud that he solved the problem. He's proud that he's doing so well. He's proud that he's a rich guy. He's proud that he's just better than you. And that's the vibe I'm getting. And it's interesting that he doesn't even notice in a video where he's supposed to be saying, like, I fucked up, my bad. He's just like, look at how fucking awesome I am. It's a real Trump-like move where what starts as like a act of contrition just ends up being a big, like, roadshow about their success. So if I wasn't already convinced that this guy is high on the psychopathy spectrum, I am now fully on board.
Nope. I've never had ab implants, ab etching, or any other plastic surgery, and I sure as fuck never actually had gene editing done in Singapore. I made all of that up. It was all intended to be a joke, and that's an expression of ancestral 10 and 10. Have a little goddamn fun. Ultimately, why did I, or why do I do them? When I talk about the 85% of the population that suffers from self-esteem issues, that's me. I'm part of that statistic.
Now, this might actually be true. There are different type of narcissists, and the technical name escapes me right now, but there's a kind of fragile type, which is they're narcissistic, but they also have low self-esteem. Cillian Murphy, or whatever his name is, that character in Peaky Blinders, he's got a quote where he says, I have this weird self-esteem issue where I hate myself, but I still think I'm better than everyone. And this is a case of what this looks like when it's confessed. So I actually believe what he's saying now. I do believe he's in the 85% of whatever group he's made up and identified with. But he's got this kind of contradictory state where he'll probably have moments where he absolutely loathes himself, maybe even moments where he's suicidal. He clearly has body dysmorphia, and he'll do anything, including using very dangerous hormone and steroid experiments just to look as good as possible and be as strong as possible. That's clearly the sign of somebody who has fragile confidence at the very least. And yet his braggadocio, his absolutely unbreakable certainty in this video that he's done nothing wrong and that he's actually the man and that he doesn't need to worry about the damage that this leaked email is going to do because he's just the center of the universe and better than everyone. That vibe's coming through quite strong. I know I'm being really judgmental on a small piece of evidence, but you got to remember, I've got like nearly a decade's worth of working directly face to face with some of the most narcissistic and psychopathic people in the world. I'm not just making up shit here. I'm seeing my experience playing out. And plus, like I said, you take into account the context. He has a lot of followers. He makes a lot of money from doing this thing. He needs this business to keep going no matter what he says. If nothing else, just for his ego. He likes being the liver king. Notice the word king there. And he put advertising on this video, right? Like, I've got a pretty good circumstantial case for what I'm saying. And what I don't see, and what I was looking for and hoping for, frankly, was counter evidence. I'm not seeing anything genuine in this fucking video. I'm just seeing scripted performance of a very careful and, pretty successful manipulator, right? I've seen this before many hundreds of times, and it's been confirmed in the past, by psychiatric assessments and so on. So I don't doubt what I'm seeing. But like I said, I do agree that he has self-esteem issues, and I have no reason to disbelieve what he's saying here. What I also do, to extend a little olive branch and maybe a bit of hope, there might be some genuine motivation for him to work with disaffected men that he, feels some form of connection to. Because, as he's mentioned himself, he's getting older. He's into his 40s now. At least he was recently. And there is some research that shows that as psychopathic personalities get older, they start to get frustrated with their lack of connection with other people. The idea that a psychopath doesn't care about other people and doesn't want anyone in their life, it's not quite exactly true. They do get dissatisfied with constantly, having fallouts with people and relationships that don't work out and not being trusted and feeling alone all the time. And so when they get into their 40s and 50s and onwards, they start to ask, is there some way I can connect? Is there some way I can not feel so fucking alone at the top of the mountain here, in their own sort of way? And so that might be genuinely happening for him, but he also can't help but turn that into a profit machine. He can't help but see these people as bank accounts as well as people. He can't turn it off that easily. So I'll extend, maybe there's some genuineness coming through here, but that's just me playing the whole field of possibility. I'm not actually seeing evidence of that as such.
This is why I fucking work myself to death in the gym. This is why I do 12 to 15 blood-burning workouts a week, just to feel like I'm okay. Still, I have to absolutely crush myself to do so, and I'm wrecked physically and cognitively, and hormone replacement has helped in a profound and significant way. And still, I believe that the path to paradise is paved in fucking hell. I previously have said in a weird way, I'm grateful for the recent events that have shed light on this complicated as fuck topic. I knew I needed to take this opportunity to openly discuss everything for me to be a better human. If there are any questions that remain unanswered, send them my way. I fully own that I fucked up. I am as sorry as a man can be. And all I can do is take extreme ownership right now, be better, and lead myself to a better life as a better human. Again, thank you to everyone for the support, the criticism, the love, the hate, and above all else, the loyalty. Liver King. Out.
Above all else, the loyalty. dismissing everything said previously. Okay, so this was an opinionated judgment from a distance with a very small piece of information, and that must be taken into account. I could be totally wrong. I don't think I am, but of course I'm not going to think that because of my ego. I'll leave you to judge for yourselves. Was that what it looks like when someone takes total ownership of betraying their audience in order to make a profit? It didn't seem that way to me. He even used the term extreme ownership, like he's stealing from Jocko Willink or something, trying to like get a little name drop in there discreetly. What's going on there? I mean, that was not extreme ownership. That was extreme guilt-tripping the audience into thinking he's the victim. That's what that was. So I don't buy it. Like I said, the context matters. He's extremely rich with this brand and so on and so forth. I don't care what he says about his other companies. If he was really satisfied with them, then why did he start this other thing? Oh, to help all the disaffected users. Yeah, then why did you betray them? Why do you take their money? Why not do it for free? Volunteer if you're already rich, so on. There's a lot of questions that undermine the altruism that he proclaims to have here. So I think I'm looking at a fragile narcissist trying to spin being caught. And that had that email not leaked, he would never have admitted to breaking the rules of his own little system that he's selling. I guarantee it. So that's my thoughts. Love to hear your thoughts on my thoughts. Am I wrong? Am I too judgmental? Is it unfair of me to make these assessments on such a small piece of information? Or have I fucking nailed it because he's just like other psychopaths that I've worked with? I'm open to being wrong myself, and I will take ownership of being wrong. I won't apologize though, because to me that's just manipulation. Thank you for watching. If you want more stuff like this, let me know. Dan@brojo.org. And of course, if you want to know what it's like to be powerfully honest, get in touch and I'll help you out.